What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Talking Elite Fitness. I'm Sean Woodland, joined by Tommy Marquez. Tommy, how are you?
I am good. Week one, baby.
There you go.
Want to know?
It's still victory week for you. And featuring Lauren Khalil. Lauren, how are you?
I am fantastic.
Awesome. Good to see you. Glad you made it back safely from the tactical games thing in Salt Lake. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. Got a couple other things that we're going to cover as well. The Rogue qualifier and some Wodapalooza stuff in SoCal, Wodapalooza SoCal news that's coming out. But first, we want to thank our sponsor for today, and that is Box Basics, your ultimate online store for cross-training shoes. Right now, you can get a sweet discount of 20% off everything. Just head over to shopboxbasics.com. Use the code TEF. They have a killer section of shoes like Nike, TYR, Strike Movement, Reebok, and more. Plus, they offer fast and free, yes, free shipping across the U.S. and super easy returns and exchanges. Their customer service is absolutely incredible. And honestly, like, this is where, if you guys want to deal with a really good company that has a level of customer service that is above and beyond, I think, what you have come to expect in this space, they're fantastic.
Look, we all get tired of the automated customer service systems and not actually getting to talk to a real human. You're not going to have to worry about that with Box Basics. You get to talk to a human. You get to deal with a human. They will take great care of you. Their customer service is second to none. And you have the full array of all the different brands at your disposal: Nike, TYR, Strike Movement, Reebok, across the board, and they do specialized releases. We were able to get through Box Basics, get those the Nike Metcon 1 releases, as well as the Games Pack from Tier 2. So some really cool options, kind of the full array of brands at your fingertips in one-stop shop.
I wore my TYR high tops, those like silverish ones. I love those things. I'm not a high top guy.
And you didn't send us a picture?
No, I wore them. They're fantastic. So, check those out. That's right. They were fantastic. I'm a big fan of those. And yeah, they're going to go well with my LA Kings swag when the hockey season starts. So
the silver.
Head to shopboxbasics.com. Use the code TEF, 20% off, because that sale ends soon. So you're going to want to head over there as soon as possible. Hey, and also, look, the holidays are right around the corner. It's never too early to get that shopping out of the way. So Box Basics can help you do that. Shopboxbasics.com. The code is TEF. Okay, let's get into some of our headlines, things we want to talk about. And as I mentioned, Lauren was in Salt Lake City for the tactical games. And one, Jason Khalipa, the 2008 fittest man on earth, was in attendance. And how'd he do, first of all?
He was about middle of the pack. He finished 14th out of 23 in the men's. I spoke with Spencer Panchik because he was also competing in the division, and him and I were goofing around, and I was like, Spencer, your one goal this weekend needs to be to beat Jason Khalipa. He wasn't able to do it. Spencer finished 16th, but Jason had a lot of fun out there. It's a new style of training that he's been working on for a bit. But when it came to the long range shooting and just some of the other styles of shooting, I think he had a nice slice of humble pie. But it seems like he'll be back. So I'm glad that he was able to experience it. And overall, just seeing the growth of CrossFitters that are entering the space. You have Jimmy Woodard, who the weekend before competed in the Masters Division Games. You had Cody Anderson, who is an OG CrossFitter from back in the day. Spencer Panchik, Jacob Hepner. He wasn't there this weekend, but just a lot more CrossFitters that are tipping their toe or maybe a whole foot into the tactical games.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's fantastic. I know my wife is super interested in starting. So yeah, she's going to, I think, start training from maybe doing some partner competitions or individual competitions, but it's so cool that's growing the way it has. And I obviously the shooting is a thing where, that's kind of a higher barrier of entry, but when it comes to just testing your fitness, like, it's not like you need to have all the technical skills in your tool belt, like handstand walking or being able to squat snatch or, ring muscle ups. It's just grunt work. And I'm not trying to minimize like what they're doing, but it is very like binary in how they apply it. It's like you either did it or you didn't. Did you put that thing over the bar? Yes, good rep. It's not like some of the more intricate things that you see in CrossFit.
Yeah, and even one of the skills where they have rope climbs, if you can't, so say that I'm in the elite division and I can't do rope climbs. I can sub out 5 hand release burpees like over the rig for every like one rope climb that I don't compete or that I don't complete. So it is cool how they like if you don't have a specific skill, it doesn't necessarily mean you would need to change divisions. I mean, there's always like the weight on the axle bars or the sandbags that would more or less be the limiter, but it's never like a skill component.
Yeah.
Interesting. So it's like ultimately they still make sure that it comes down to shooting, right? Like fitness related, they give you options to still be able to actually make it to the point where you're shooting. Is that correct?
Yes. I would say when you look at like who fares better in competitions, is it somebody who's really fit or somebody that's really good at shooting? I would say it kind of goes back and forth because you have Jacob Hepner, who is arguably the most fit person in tactical games, and he's been the national champion for a couple of years now. But then you also had this guy, his name is Kurt Fennell, who I would say is like an above average fitness dude who beat him earlier this season.
Oh.
So they do really try to find a balance of like being really good with your firearms and not just at one thing. Like they have long range, short range, there's moving and shooting, there's rifle, pistol, sometimes only rifle, sometimes only pistol. They really interchange it in so many different ways that complement really well with that grunt work style of fitness.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. Looking forward to seeing it grow. And I know you'll probably be out at the next where's the next competition you're going to?
The next one that I'll be doing for them won't be until nationals. It's the weekend after Rogue.
Okay.
It'll be at the Staccato Ranch in Texas.
Awesome.
That's kind of their HQ home base. Yeah. Amazing facility if anybody lives in that area.
Yeah. Oh, also want to mention, because that's a great segue, but coming up in a little bit too, we're going to hear from our good friend Joel Gattet, who called the action at the Teenage CrossFit Games. So he's going to give us a recap of that. That's coming up a little bit later.
Cool.
But you mentioned right after Rogue. So let's get to Rogue because the Q, the qualifier for the Invitational, is now done. The leaderboard is, I don't know if it's final, but it is displayed. So we'll start with the men. Now, in the past, Rogue has traditionally taken the top 5 men and top 5 women from the Q to compete at the Invitational. So right now, the top 5 men, Georges Caravis, Tudor Magda, Cole Griesaber, Jorge Fernandez, and Traven Benton. So those are your top 5 men right now. That I don't know if the review is finished and the leaderboard is locked, but that's who currently occupies what would traditionally be the qualifying spots. And on the women's side, Manon Enganez, Jamie Simmons, Sydney Wells, Emma Tall, and Taylor Williamson. How about that?
Nice.
Yeah.
And like I'd have to look to see if like adjustments were being made, because in the past 2 years, remember, like once judging was done, there was like a significant amount of adjustments being made, and the leaderboard did shift. But Manon, Jamie, Sydney, Emma on the individual side, no stranger to this level of competition. Taylor as an individual, this is would be a really cool opportunity. And behind them, Dana Paran and Taylor Howe, both 2 athletes that are within, striking distance, assuming, adjustments, or could also do some damage too. That this opportunity at Rogue, I think, presents a really cool scenario for them. For Taylor, she's in the UK, right? So it's just a hop, skip, and a jump for her. But how many opportunities do you get at this level where you're guaranteed a payout of, right now it's looking about $5,500, maybe even more, because remember, that's going to fluctuate with ticket sales, with registrations, things like that. So a guaranteed payday, that's you get, I believe Rogue covers travel too. So you get this full suite experience, and it's going to be against the best. It's going to be against the best in the world. I mean, there's realistically, there's 2 opportunities like that a year. One of them is Rogue, and one of them is the games, where you're guaranteed to have that top level individual talent.
And when you look at the leaderboard, some of the names that you don't see on the first page, for the men specifically, you have Colton Mertens, who was in 25th, Alex Vigneault in 30th. There was somebody else that I wanted to point out, and Willie George in 27th. So when you look at the programming and the way that it's always structured, you cannot have a bad event. You need to be almost perfect in order to earn one of those 5 tickets. And for the women, there's a handful of women who were at the CrossFit Games this past year, Sahar Kaya, Hattie Canyo, who also were not in the top 20. So kudos to the men and women who did qualify.
I wouldn't be surprised if Colton's still recovering, if he was doing this alongside, because he was competing this weekend at NorCal, which he won. So congrats to him. But we're at this kind of intersection where a lot of events are either, if you're competing in the off season or doing these mid to just below the top tier events. And there's also qualifiers going on. And so it's not uncommon for athletes to be like, all right, I'm competing this weekend, but I got to get these 3 to 4 qualifiers in. So you see these these fluctuations in performance depending on where that crossroads lands on their schedule.
Yeah, but we'll certainly be keeping an eye on that, because I don't think this is final. I don't think the leaderboard's locked. There's probably reviews still going on. But yeah, Rogue Invitational in November, and cannot wait. I think it's going to be a freaking awesome event.
I'm so jealous. Oh.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think this is going to be more of a strongman event, just based on, and strong woman, based on where it is. Strong man, strong woman, that's huge over in Europe. And then especially in Scotland, which is the birthplace of a lot of this stuff. We'll have to have Dr. Bill Crawford on sometime to give us a history lesson. And I'll just say, Dr. Bill, history, Scotland. And then we'll just turn our mics off and he'll talk for an hour. It'll be great. Because that guy's just a walking encyclopedia. But it's going to be so cool. And I think it's because in the past, at least over here in the United States, when we've had the Rogue Invitational, strongman does seem to takes a little bit of a backseat. And that could be just possibly it was a late addition to the Invitational, because it started with CrossFit in its first couple of years, and then they decided to add strongman. But the field there is going to be probably other than the Arnold, I don't know where else you're going to see that collection of strongman talent in the same spot. So really looking forward to that. Also looking forward to next week, you have the Adaptive CrossFit Games going on. CrossFit just put out a post on Instagram about viewing options for that. And then you also have TYR Wodapalooza SoCal. And TYR Wodapalooza SoCal has now released some of their events. And we won't go through all of these, but I'll just if you're watching this, I'll just put it up on the screen so you can just see what we're talking about. But you have, they're going to have, for those of you who don't know yet, or you may have forgotten, there's going to be 2 teams of 8, but not all 8 athletes will be taking part in every event. There's going to be, games teams of 2 and 2, Miami teams of 3 and 3. There will be head-to-head matchups. It's going to be a lot of fun. But I think Friday night, you got the 1 rep max snatch and the 1 rep max clean and jerk. That's going to be cool. That's going to be a spotlight event. That's going to be fun. There's 3 events on Friday that have been announced. Let's see. Saturday, there's 4 events, but only 3 of them have been announced. And then Sunday, there are also 4 events, and only 2 of them have been officially announced. This one, the event 7 on Saturday, is going to be fun. It's going to be, it's like head-to-head matchups where it's, you do 21 bar muscle ups and then you do a clean ladder. The 2 women go head-to-head, and then, so it's all these individual races, and the team that wins the most wins the whole thing. Now,
that's sick.
That's going to be fun.
If anyone is unfamiliar with this format, the 2015 Games team finale, where Rich Froning and Mayhem hit very memorably, just came from behind, almost pulled this win out of pulled the rabbit out of a hat almost a little bit, ahead of teams like Milford and these other teams that looked like they were going to have a chance to win, and Mayhem just dropped the hammer in that last event. It was individual relays where all 6 team members had to run their own relay, and they were all scored at 50 points each. And you kind of had to figure out where you wanted to put these people and who you were going to put them up in the lineup. And it is awesome. I love that format. That one's going to be fun.
Well, the only thing I hope doesn't happen is that one team doesn't win the first 4 and then it doesn't matter after that. I hope there's a little back and forth here. But, and that, that kind of is, for those of you who don't know, the way the scoring is going to work for this is that the winner of an event gets 1 point. The other team doesn't get any. So you could, there is a scenario in which you could get to Saturday night and it could be out of reach. I hope that's not the case. And there are, I think, some things that might be done in order to make it still interesting beyond that, or whether it's individual, incentives for individual events. So if you win this, your team gets something to help keep it interesting. But I hope that's not the case. And for those of you who think it might be the case, think all the way back to 2013 and the Invitational in Berlin, where it was, there was one team on paper that was much better than the other, and the team that was better on paper did not end up winning.
So if we go way back to, was it Berlin, if I'm correct?
Yep.
Team USA had the top 3 finishers on the men's division. They had Rich Froning, Jason Kalipa, and Ben Smith. On the women's side, they had 2 of the top 3 women. They had Lindsay Valenzuela, Jesus.
They had Val Voberl.
Val Voberl. We were just talking about her last week.
Becca Voigt?
I believe Becca Voigt Miller. Let me double check that one. But I'll give you guys bonus points or something if you can guess who Team World was. No looking like
okay. It was McKay, Agidius.
Chad McKay, yep. Frederick Agidius.
Oh man.
This is a tough one.
Yeah, it was I want to say Miko Aronpa.
Nope. That was the year prior. Miko Aronpa was the year prior.
Then it was Camila Blanc-Bazinet.
Yep.
Sam Briggs.
Yeah.
And oh man.
Telena Fortunato was the third one.
That's right. Okay, it was Telena.
Was it her? Picelli? No, it might have been Telena.
I can't remember. Who was the guy for the Europe team?
Albert Dominic.
Oh, that's it. That's right. Yes, I knew it was okay. And then who's the third woman?
And Cara Cara Saunders, the artist formerly known as Cara Gordon. But yeah, and remember, it came down to that last event with the axle bar overhead walking lunges, and they had to do it in succession.
Yep.
And it was like, oh my gosh, I remember it being this massive upset. And I wasn't there. You were, I think you were.
I was calling it with Cherie Chan.
Yeah, and we're all watching it from back at HQ in Santa Cruz. Like, we couldn't believe what we were seeing. Like, it was the USA hockey team beating. It was the
it was big. It was, and that was the last time I think we did the teams of 6 invitational. The following year we did it in San Jose, and it was down to teams of 4, and they had 4 teams. Mm-hmm. Which honestly, I think to avoid this sort of it's over by Sunday type thing, and I'm not saying that's going to happen, but just to minimize that happening, if this format works, which I think it will, I'm really excited about watching this. If you can find a way to make it 4 teams, adjust the scoring a little bit to where it's 3 points for first, 2 for second, something like that. Now, you still obviously would have a scenario where someone could have it clinched, but there would still be spots behind them that might be up for grabs. I think that could be a lot of fun. Like an invitational style with 4 teams. That's what this reminds me of. This first thing with TYR Wodapalooza SoCal. This is the first invitational. Let's try this out, see if it'll work. And if it does, which I think it will, let's expand this and get 4 teams in here. And I really think the sky's the limit with this. I'm super excited. I think this might be, I think TYR Wodapalooza SoCal has the potential to be one of the most important events of the year, not based on the size or what it, or the talent that's going to be there, but because of the impact it can have moving forward in other competitions, specifically the CrossFit Games teams competition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, its place in the calendar is important too. Mm-hmm. Also just bringing, and I would want to temper expectations for year 1, but this has the structure to potentially be something that's very, very cool going forward, right? If they're able to continually secure this venue on Huntington Beach, it becomes a vacations end of summer type, event for a lot of people. You get these all-star rosters in this unique team format. And I remember, was it Strength and Depth Origins or Strength and Depth had a variation where they had teams of 7 that they've done this before. And I think that might have been partial inspiration for this format. Mm-hmm. And all the athletes came back this was awesome. And so I think if you do that, you're able to replicate that quality of a competition here on U.S. soil on Huntington Beach, in a place that a lot of people want to go where there's great weather at this time of year. Mm-hmm. could be super cool.
Yeah, I think the setting's going to be fantastic. It is like right there on the beach. It's going to be, I mean, you can go to their Instagram page and look at the stuff, but it's going to be freaking phenomenal. Like I said, I think this event, and I'm glad you brought up Fit Fest, because I know, Lauren, you were there and you talked about how much the athletes enjoyed it. It feels like there's a shift that could be happening here with how we conduct team competitions. And I think that this is the right way to do it in my book. It just makes it so much more interesting and fun and strategy and pitting head-to-head matchups. And like, I think it could really help reinvigorate the team competition, because now that you have Rich has made his exodus, you don't have that draw anymore.
Yeah.
And if you separate it from the games, like from the individual games, and now you could have like this kind of event where you have these super teams competing against each other, and I think that's a lot more compelling.
Yeah, and I think in general you can there's a little bit more leeway to think outside the box with the team competition. Like even go back to 2020, right before it got canceled, we were going to have that like team event draft version of the CrossFit Games that Mayhem was trying to help like take the lead on. That I thought they did a great job in like raising their hand and trying to like that. I wish that would have taken place. That would have been
sweet, and you could even incorporate that into this, right? Like all this stuff is. There's so many good ideas out there, and that's another good one to bring up too, because they've kind of been seeding that. So yeah, TYR Wodapalooza SoCal.
And it's good for the athletes. It gives them an opportunity to get in person and compete where they're not going to wreck their body, more earning opportunities, more sponsorship activations, more opportunities to meet with fans. Like, it's good for the ecosystem to do more of this.
Well, and here's the other thing too. Like, this is really made for TV. If you had, even with 4 teams, it's just a made-for-TV event. You don't have 4 heats of 30 or 3 heats of 30 teams. It's just where it's just over and over and over again. It's maybe 2 heats at the most, because you might have a team of 3 men, and then you do the team of 3 women, and then you're done. And that's it. Like, it's quick. It's definitely a made-for-TV event throughout the weekend. You don't have to spend 8 hours watching the whole competition. It's encapsulated in a 2-hour window. It's great.
Yeah.
So,
what do we think of the captains? We got DB and Pat Vellner, and then we have BK and Tia.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, they're going to be part of the decision-making process, right? They're going to be placing the pieces on the chessboard.
Yeah. I think, so it's funny because we talked to Danielle Brandon about the Fit Fest thing, and she's like, we were just making it up as we go along. I wonder how, like, what she learned in that competition and how that's going to help out with this one. And Tia and BK, that's going to be,
there's also, because there's also a captain's specific like workout. So you're going to have a Tia and BK versus Pat and Danielle. And
who's your money on?
I have to recuse myself from that, because I may know what that event's going to be.
That's the thing. It like there are ones where I can see it going either way.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
That's going to be a good battle. If the final event, because full disclosure, I got read in on some stuff, but I think it's my hope is that this is like not something to where we get to Sunday and it's over. Like, there's still some doubt, because it's going to be a lot of fun. So, okay, before we get into our interview with Joel Gattet, we want to do our dog of the week. We've kind of been, with everything going on, we haven't had a chance to keep up on this, but we're going to do it this time. And our dog of the week is BB. He's a 7-year-old male.
Look at him.
Who's super resilient, loving, gentle, cat and dog friendly. So this is like an idea. I mean, look at that tongue just hanging out there if you're looking at it.
He's a cutie.
Yeah, he's a gentle 7-year-old guy who's looking for a relaxing home to celebrate his golden years. He is located in the Steel City, Pittsburgh.
Ooh, Pittsburgh.
And is staying with the lovely people at Harp Saves Lives, at Harp Saves Lives. So you can look them up until he finds his person, featuring BB and Harp this week, because we are fortunate enough, Barbells and Bullies is to be hosting a comp on Saturday at Renegade Training. All right. So if you're going to be there this Saturday at Renegade Training, they're going to have Barbells for Bullies is going to be there hosting a competition. So check it out. It's a great way to, I think their barrier of entry is pretty low. It's like usually you just have to bring like a bag of dog food or some canned dog food or something for dogs that they can donate to their local shelter, and you're in the competition, but double check me on that. But that's usually how that works.
Nice.
But yeah, he's look at that guy.
Oh, what a cutie.
So go ahead.
Just think about that, right? Imagine yourself, if you're in Pittsburgh thinking, maybe I want a pup. you, BB, sitting on the couch. It's a Sunday. The Steelers are playing.
Yep. Give him his terrible towel.
An AFC North classic battle. You got a Permanente Brothers sandwich right there on your lap. And I mean, that's just an excellent Sunday. Right there.
So again, if you guys are interested, we all three of us shared this on our social media. You can go to @Barbells for Bullies to see more about BB. And if you're interested in adopting him, it's @Harp, HARP, Saves Lives. That's them on Instagram. And then you can also hit up Barbells for Bullies. So even though we're out of the dog days of summer, we're in fall. I guess we're actually technically not in fall. We're still, I think, in summer. Fall has not officially.
I'm not gonna lie. The mornings have been kind of crisp.
I feel like fall has kind of been like
crisp.
Fall has kind of been like, how you doing?
Yeah,
It's over here. Gonna see you soon.
You didn't forget about me.
Yeah.
When are we gonna have our show?
Oh God. Okay. So
Sean and I
had
are
this whole debate.
frenemies.
Well, we had this whole debate about pumpkin spice and how early is too early with pumpkin spice. And I'm a staunch, it's got to be October. You got to be officially in the fall. Leaves have got to be changing colors. Temperatures had to have taken a noticeable drop because right now, at least where we are, Tommy, it was like 90 degrees the other day. I don't want a pumpkin spice latte on a 90-degree day. I want it when it's October. It's cold. I'm hoodieing up. So I think like where they're rolling it out now is way too early. I think it's more like Halloween-ish.
Unless you live where I am.
Yeah, but here's the thing: were you getting like a pumpkin foam cold brew on those warm days?
I know because I just think pumpkin to me is a very cold weather specific type flavor.
I'll give you October. I think that's fair.
I think October at least,
especially because Costco
depends where you live.
Costco right now has Christmas decorations out.
That's wrong.
Okay, they push
insane.
Yeah, I know.
It's insane.
I know.
Like
Lauren, you said you think pumpkin is a year-round type of thing, which I am.
No. Yeah, I love the flavor. I don't want to see it go away. Maybe I also like peppermint, but that to me has a shelf life.
I love peppermint, Mark, and peppermint in general, and that's not a year-round flavor.
No, I agree. But pumpkin, I would totally support the decision to install it as like vanilla.
No, it's like the Shamrock Shake at McDonald's. You only bring it out during like
it's exactly.
And I love it.
Year round too.
There's a reason why the McRib doesn't stay around
exactly. You got to have something special. If you do it year round, it devalues the specialness of the pumpkin spice, like in the fall flavors. And they got another, like there's some other ones out there too, like these apple crisp ones, or they have like some apple flavors.
Yeah, you got me onto
those are good.
Just shaken espresso.
And if it's year round,
apple,
it just ruins it. But like when you're rolling out pumpkin spice in September and I'm still in shorts sweating my patootie off in 95-degree weather, no. Like I want you know what? When do we set our clocks? Like when do we fall back?
That's a good one. Fall back. When's fall back?
I think it's October or something.
It already happened. We
haven't. We've sprung forward. We need to fall back. Now that's when we should do it.
I don't know.
Fall back 2024 is November 3rd.
All right, that's too late.
No,
so let's go.
We need to get rid of the time change altogether.
That's another debate. But I think like a couple weeks before Halloween is when the pumpkin stuff go nuts.
I'm okay with October.
Sean, there's sometimes snow here before.
Well, that's your fault for living in a desolate hellscape. Not Don't make the rest of us suffer. Because you have bad weather. I don't know. I'm an October pumpkin spice guy.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I don't know.
I think September 1st is fine. The August 22nd, I'll say
we're not even out of summer in September 1st. We're still in summer.
Kids are back to school.
Not officially.
Oh yeah, like not technically based on this calendar.
Yeah, based on the calendar. Fall. Give it a couple weeks. Let fall show up. Get comfortable. Let us know it's here. None of this like. And then
I got married in September. And here it's considered a summer wedding.
Yeah, it was a summer wedding. It was hot.
Oh,
it was hot.
Yeah.
But you guys had fall colors, didn't you?
A little bit, but it was still very green and we had some fall colors in it. But yeah.
Speaking of marriage, Tommy, you are going to find out the gender of your child here soon, correct?
2 more days.
All right. Can't wait.
You should put a poll up on IG.
Yeah. Anyone wants to buy raffle tickets?
Are your relatives saying anything? Are they like the grandmas and stuff? Are they?
This is where I wish my grandma was still alive. Rest her soul. But I wish she could just pop up, put a hand on my wife's belly, and be like, give us an estimation. She would know for sure.
That's a fact, because like I said, every Hispanic woman when my wife was pregnant, I think there was 3 of them. They all got it right. All of them said boy.
What does Tiff's grandma, who you were making those special treats in the holidays for?
Oh, her great grandma.
Her great grandma. What does she think?
She's not sure yet because we haven't physically seen her in person recently.
Okay.
We went up and saw her for her 100th birthday, and it was for her 100th birthday. And Tiff was showing a little bit, but she wasn't showing a ton. And she was just kind of like, I'm undecided. So so my brother-in-law knows he's gonna call great grandma the day of our baby shower, and when we find out, and tell her so she's the second person to know ahead of the rest of the family.
Nice.
Oh, I love that.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I think I'm going boy. All right.
I think girl.
All right. We'll see who's
Tommy's a girl dad.
I was divided.
Yeah.
What do you and Tiff feel?
The only inclination I've had was like 3 months ago. I was sitting on the floor, like watching sports, and it was like, I think we're gonna have a girl. And then since then, Tiff has gone back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Who knows?
Well, we've decided that we don't know what Tommy's baby's going to be, but we do know that Pumpkin Spice should be released in October.
Not a chance.
Not a chance?
Not a chance.
Oh, man.
September 1st.
When should it go away?
Okay, so this is where the
December
debate
1st.
gets...
December?
November.
I'd keep it through Christmas. Keep it through the holidays. Done. January 1.
But then it's conflicting with the peppermint.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah, this is... I haven't put enough
You still
thought
have
into
pumpkin
this.
pie for Christmas, right? Come on. For the holidays?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, I would give pumpkin spice October, November.
Yeah.
December.
Marquee billing. October halfway to November, marquee billing of the pumpkin spice.
Yeah. And
Thanksgiving rolls around. Peppermint, marquee building. Right?
Yeah. Then peppermint comes in as the understudy in middle of November. Takes over December, has January, and then
who takes over in February?
That you don't need any special flavor in February. Done.
Football's over. Who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
February doesn't need it.
There's no flavor of February.
There's not.
Nobody likes February.
I know. It's
gross.
I was born then and my son was born then. It's like the shortest month ever. We don't need our special flavors. We're good to go. All right.
Fall to the earth.
Okay. Before we get into our interview with Joel Gattet, we want to thank our other sponsor for today, and that is WZA, the collagen-based recovery drink that helps you improve your sleep and just be a better person overall. You take it every night before you go to bed, about an hour before you hit the rack, and then you're going to get some fantastic sleep. It has GABA, L-theanine. It doesn't have melatonin in it, so it's not habit forming. It has magnesium, helps calm your central nervous system, helps you to be able to relax more, fall asleep more quickly, and it tastes great, and I look forward to taking it every single night. And you will get the most out of the sleep that you get. You can go to THIRDZY, that's THIRDZY.com. You can use our code TEF, and you will save 20%, and you will improve the way that you recover and the way that you sleep, and will be just in a better mood when you wake up in the morning. I absolutely love my
You'll
THIRDZY.
just be a happier person.
It's the stuff works, man. I'm telling you. Like when we were at the Masters stuff in Birmingham, I started freaking out because I thought like I didn't bring enough, and found an extra pack and was good to go.
It sounds weird. I wake up cleaner. Like
that's a fact too.
I'm not typically I'm a slow riser.
Mm-hmm.
Like it takes me I just sleep very deep and heavy. And when I take THIRDZY, I wake up and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm up. Let's go."
Yeah,
it's hard to describe. Maybe it's just because I'm coming out of a cleaner, deep sleep stage. But
yeah,
I definitely am my wife notices it too because she doesn't have to beat me with a sock full of nickels to get me out of bed.
Yep. All right. THIRDZY.com. Code is TEF.
Great visual.
You're going to save 20%. As you know, the same weekend as the Masters CrossFit Games, where the three of us were located in Birmingham, Alabama, the Teenage CrossFit Games are going on at the Pitt Fitness Challenge, at the Pitt Fitness Ranch, I think in Kalamazoo, Michigan. Joel Gattet, who the three of us have worked with before on broadcast, he is the guy who usually calls the team competition at the CrossFit Games. He was there, And I sat down with him, and he gave us kind of a top line recap about how everything went and the people who kind of made headlines in Kalamazoo. So here is my interview with the voice of the Teenage CrossFit Games, Joel Gattet. Let's bring in our guest today. He is the man who called the team competition for the 2024 CrossFit Games and the Teenage CrossFit Games in, where was that exactly? Joel Gattet, where were the...
Kalamazoo, Michigan,
That's
and
right.
Three
Home
Rivers,
K
Michigan.
Wings. Yes. Joel, how you doing, man?
I'm good. I just want to let you know that I came prepared. Dallin Pepper and Jason Hopper in a no holds barred falls count anywhere match at the NXT parking lot. That's my WrestleMania CrossFit contribution for the year.
I love it. You know, and it's hilarious that you bring that up because we didn't talk about this before you hopped on here. But I got a couple requests from Masters athletes. You're like, you guys got to do that again. All right, we'll bring it back. And so maybe this might be the spark that lights the flame here, and maybe we'll have to get you on there. But we were obviously at different competitions this past weekend. I was at the Masters competition. You were at the Teenage competition. What was the feel like there?
It's different, right? So you can answer that in a couple of different ways. The first one is it felt really good to be at like a CrossFit Games competition, and there was an interesting sense of normalcy to it because, for obvious reasons, the CrossFit Games themselves did not feel like the CrossFit Games, and I don't want people to take that the wrong way, to be thinking of like, oh, they moved on and like it's in the past, but for the most part, these are teenage kids that are doing CrossFit because they like fitness and they go to their boxes and they're good at it, and are not people that were directly connected to what happened in Texas. And for them, it's great to get to compete on this stage and this level. And I think there were a couple of Jukic shirts, like the Go Ruck shirts, that were worn by some athletes. But beyond that, you kind of just were able to show up and be like, hey, it's the CrossFit Games for teenagers. And there was an interesting innocence to that I think was, I don't want to say refreshing because I don't want people to take it the wrong way, but there was a piece to it where you're like, you know what, these kids are getting what they need for them as CrossFit athletes, because certainly if they would have been competing in Texas, it would not have been that way.
Who are some of the athletes that stood out? Because this is clearly, the next generation that we will be watching in a few years compete as individuals, and we've already seen that kind of happen with some teenage athletes who have filtered up into the individual competition and are starting to make a name for themselves. But who stood out to you?
A handful of different people. There were some big names that were obvious. I think in the girls 16 and 17-year-old division, that was the division that we kind of went into circled to say, like, this is going to be the awesome one. Lucy McGonigal is already an elite level athlete. She was 19th at the European semifinal this year. I know she posted about, loved the experience and had a good competition, but a few execution errors cost her. And she wound up in third, and I think was the heavy favorite as the two-time defending champion, but somebody that I would certainly keep an eye on. She got beat by Reese Littlewood, who's a semifinal athlete, was at North America East semifinals this year and was awesome, and was a top 1 or 2 finisher for almost every event this weekend. Not to forget Elsie Larson, who wound up finishing second. She kind of got like Laura Horvath 2021, because afterward, Lucy McGonigal and Reese Littlewood got the interviews for finishing first and third. But I think those are the ones that jumped out first and foremost. And then you go down that list. There's so many. Like Riley Beebe is someone who's been around teenage competition forever. That was the division that I think stood out most, and typically is the division you see make an immediate impact next at the elite level, because the girls, I just think, transition faster. RJ Mestry is now a 2-time champion. He was awesome in the boys 16 to 17 division. And I think is somebody that you'll see. I don't know if it's next year, like it took Dallin Pepper 2 years to qualify. But I think is somebody that will be on some radars. And then what I think is really cool is that when it comes to growing the sport and growing CrossFit, we all kind of look at it at the elite level. And I know there's lots of talk and discussion of like, well, should all of the spots that are allocated to all of these other areas of the world exist, because like, are you really getting the top 40 fittest? And I've always kind of fallen on the side of like, yes, because opportunity is necessary to create that growth. But also, where I really think that growth comes from is the teenage level. And when you look at the Teenage CrossFit Games, that's where you've seen a lot of your diversity. There have been Middle Eastern podium finishers, there have been Latin American podium finishers. And I think we got the next really great one at the boys 16 and 17-year-old division this year. His name was Caden Stain, South African. It's a long journey. His father had told him out of semifinals he needed to finish in the top 10 if he wanted to come to the games. So he did, and then he crushed it. He finished in the top 2. He had the lead going into the final event, which he knew he wasn't going to hold, and he called his shot. It just wasn't. It just wasn't his event. But Caden Stain's a guy that finished 11th at the elite African semifinal. So, like, that's a guy, when you look to the next generation, how does the sport grow? Look to the teenagers that are coming from those non-traditional regions, so to speak, and I think you'll start to see some names that get on the radar maybe more quickly.
I'm sure you were able to talk to parents, athletes during some downtime. When we were talking to athletes at the Masters games, it was weird. Kind of one reaction was, "Oh, well, we're not on the big stage." But there was another reaction was like, "This is so cool because it's more, we would be on a big stage, but there weren't a lot of people." What was the reaction from the athletes and the parents about how they felt about being removed from that, being with the individuals in that giant spotlight?
It wasn't a discussion, to be honest. Like, it wasn't a discussion I had a ton.
Okay.
But it was certainly different, and I think that kind of goes back to your first question a little bit of like, what did it feel like? It was different because I didn't walk outside and go to I was gonna say I didn't walk outside to get an acai bowl, but that's not true. They had those. I didn't walk outside and go to the merch tent the same way that you would in Madison or in Fort Worth, and then walk over to the Coliseum. So like, yeah, it's a smaller event, but I also think it's the right event, right? Like, everybody was there to see the teens, and everything was focused on the teens, and it was different than the Masters competition in the sense that it was in an arena, as opposed to like a convention center. So like, I walked into an arena normally. There was one arena floor with one rig that was set up, and if you were in the stands, you were like, so it had that. It kind of felt like a semifinal, if I'm being honest. And I think if you talked to I say the kids, but like, if you talked to the young adults that were there competing, I don't, I'm sure they noticed, because like, Tia Toomey's not around the corner, but it was cool for them to be the center of attention. And I think that's what, part of the reason for the split was. And I think for that part, it was accomplished.
I didn't know really what to expect when I showed up in Birmingham. Didn't know what the mood was going to be like, what the reaction would be. And I left that thinking, yeah, this is actually, I think this was the right decision to spin this off. And I think in the future, there should be sort of like a championship month where these, the adaptive age groups lead into the games. First of all, what were your expectations going in?
So I was of the ilk that, like, when this happened, I was like, yep, right. That's how this should be. And when it came to the teen competition in particular, like, I've been to the Pit Teen Throwdown, which is the organization that put on the games since they were founded in 2020. So I kind of knew the people that were behind it. I knew this would be a bigger vibe, but like, I kind of knew what to expect and what I was walking into. Like, I wasn't walking into an unknown, so to speak. And I know the people that were putting this on care about it a lot, care about teenagers a lot and their space in CrossFit. So like, I knew that they were going to put kind of their hearts on the line and wear their hearts on their sleeves. And I also knew that I'm sure there would be some growing pains along the way, because you're putting on a competition of this magnitude for the first time. And that's the case, I'm sure, if you go back to the first time the CrossFit Games left Aromas. Right? I mean, we used to do the CrossFit Games like in any direction. There weren't even lanes. So, like all of those things factor into it. But I mean, I thought it met kind of what I expected it to be, and I think it met a bar that was set, and it'll keep raising that bar on itself.
I thought again at the end that this was the right decision to spin these off. What did you walk away with as far as what you thought about the decision to make the teens a separate thing from the games?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. They and the amount of people that were like, I've watched more teenage competition or I've watched more masters competition than I ever have before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all right. I mean, I don't know how many, like I don't know what your stream did. I haven't looked at the numbers of it, but it was like, I think like the first day got, I mean, tens and tens and tens and tens of thousands, and same on our side. Like that, I feel like that happened at the CrossFit Games for the most part because people like clicked on it by accident looking for the elite stream.
Yep.
Now that there are people truly watching and looking in. And I'll tell you what, I thought one of the coolest interactions ever. Matt Rattay was our analyst, first time ever doing broadcasting. He did awesome. 2016 teams athlete, really good weightlifter.
Mm-hmm.
He's also Korean. And there were two Korean athletes, Lee Dong-chan and Hyun Kim. So they're both competing, and Matt sees they're from Korea, and we're on the live feed. And in Korea, like their rallying cry is to yell "fighting." It's like we would be like, "Let's go," like LFG, all that stuff. And it's "fighting," and there's a really particular way you say it. So Matt's talking about the Koreans, and he drops a "fighting" on the air, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, "Oh my god, we're all gonna get canceled." And it was hysterical because the competition ended, and the two Koreans came up to them with I think one of their fathers who spoke English. Um, and he said, "Are you the guy on the broadcast that said the fighting?" Because everybody back home in Korea was thrilled that somebody, like, they heard it and it sounded great and it sounded the right way and like somebody spoke to them. Which A, was a cool moment, but B, that tells you that there's a whole bunch of CrossFit people in Korea that tuned in specifically to watch these two teenagers compete. And that's how you grow interest, and that's how the sport grows. And I don't know if that happens the same way if they're all coupled together in Fort Worth.
We're only a few days out of this, so I know it's hard to kind of put together a complete and total after action report, but where do you think now that the opportunities to kind of take the next step and make this better for next year are?
I mean, it comes with learning, right? Like I only saw the broadcast side of it. So like operationally, I can't tell you like what worked and what didn't work.
Yeah.
But there's certain things that just come with running an event of this scale. At this level, that are different than running the Legends comp when it's just the Legends comp, or running the pit team throwdown when it's just the pit team throwdown, which had only ever been, at the box in Three Rivers, Michigan. Now you're at a stadium, all those types of things. I know they do that. Like they do an after action report every year, and they do a great job with it. So I'm sure they'll be in the weeds on all of it. But it was like, I can't say enough about how they pulled it off and the amount of work and blood, sweat, and tears that went into it.
Well, I know the audience certainly appreciated having you there to call all the action. And thanks for stopping by and giving us the recap, man. What's next for you? You going back? Is it college football, basketball? What's on the horizon?
You're going to laugh at this. The next big thing I'm broadcasting is the Elite Trades Championships, which is like professional electricianing, but Iron Chef style.
Seriously?
I'm 100% serious.
That's amazing. When can we watch this?
CBS Sports Network.
Oh my God, this is going to be awesome. I can't wait. Please let us know.
They build an arena, and like you've got to like wire a solar panel in like X
How
amount
do you
of time.
prep for that?
They give me notes.
So people know who are either watching or listening to this. Joel on the broadcast team is probably like the guy who preps the most and has taught like me and a lot of the other members of the broadcast team like how to like take notes and get organized. So I can't imagine the stuff that you're going to come up with for this. I didn't even know something like this existed. That's incredible.
I do a lot of history of HVAC.
Oh man, we'll enjoy that. We'll I can't wait to see this. This is amazing. All right. Joel Gattet, thanks so much for stopping by, man. Always good seeing you, and best of luck in the future, and looking forward to running into you in person again soon, man.
Anytime, Sean.
Big thanks to Joel Gattet for taking the time to do that. Joel's a total pro, man. He's a guy that when it comes to just like show prep, I'll never forget.
He's fantastic.
Oh, he helped even me. Like I stole just about everything that he does from him. I was like, that's better than I'm doing it. I'm going to do it that way. Like Joel, he does a lot of stuff on ESPN, like college basketball. I don't know if he does football, but he does a lot of college basketball. So he's a super talented dude, and appreciate him taking the time. And remember, we still have one championship, CrossFit Games championship to go, and that's the adaptive games a week from this Friday. I think it starts, or Saturday. It's next weekend. It's the same weekend as Wodapalooza. Tommy, Lauren, and I will all be in Southern California to be part of Wodapalooza, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And next week we'll have a preview episode dedicated to that. And yeah, looking forward to it. So we'll have full coverage from Southern California and Huntington Beach. Lauren, is this going to be your first trip to Huntington Beach?
Yes, it is.
Oh boy.
Tommy's giving me a tour because I'm going to fly to him first, spend the night with him and Tiff, and then we're going to drive along the coast.
Man, if you got in earlier, we could all go get lunch when you get in.
Yeah.
Let's try to do that.
Yeah.
I can still probably do that, depending on fast.
Yeah.
In-N-Out Burger. Just got to take you there. There's an In-N-Out Burger right by the airport.
But I'm not going to get their fries.
What?
There's a good spot in Los Gatos. There's a couple good spots in Los Gatos.
There's a bunch of them. Yeah, there's we can definitely find a place there. But
you'd like Los Gatos, Lauren. It's bougie.
It's bougie as hell. Yeah.
What does that mean?
It's just, people.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. There's
a couple of times where I've just seen some people walking around. I'm like, that is if Los Gatos came to life. Like that's what you look like. It's just. I was in the library the other day with my son, and this grandma walked in who was like coming to see her grandson, I think, and she had glitter like bedazzled high heels on and like this like skin tight dress and just dressed to the nines. I'm like,
let's just say I get some side eye.
I like Los Gatos. Yeah. It's a nice. Did you ever? I can't even believe I'm going to make this reference. And the only reason I know about it is my wife watched it. Did you ever see Gilmore Girls?
Yes.
Okay. It's kind of like downtown Los Gatos.
Episode in every season.
It's kind of like Stars Hollow.
Oh my God. Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's a little bit like Stars
I'll wear my nice airport outfit.
Okay. All right. Let's get to PRs and no reps. I don't think I have a no rep. I got a PR that I have been meaning to talk about though.
Ooh, I was going to.
I have a no rep. Do you have one, Tommy?
You go for one. Go for it.
No rep, Lauren.
Okay. I'm not going to no rep the whole state because I only saw a very, very small part of it in a very rural area. So I can't speak to the whole state, but I am not looking forward to going back based on this experience. Utah, the fine dirt dust that has collected all on my body, in between my keyboard, in every little crevice of all of my things, and the sandstorms. And mind you, it was a tactical games event, so you have to be in the most rural area. We were surrounded by mountains, so it was gorgeous. But the last day, I've never seen so many tents pick up off the ground and just fly down. And people are holding them down, and I'm closing my eyes. And then I had just put chapstick on my lips, and now I have like a dirt lipstick on basically. And it was just like, I've never experienced dirt so fine and nasty. So
that's Utah.
Yep.
Tommy, you got no rep?
I am going to no rep Mike McCarthy, the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys.
Wow, you guys won.
For robbing us of a potential all-time record for the NFL. So here's the scenario.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, why is it his fault?
4 seconds left in the half. They send Brandon Aubrey out for a 66-yard field goal. He drills it. I mean, it was good from 70 plus. I think they came back. StatCast said it was good from like 72 or 73. Delay of game. They don't get the field goal unit and the snap off in time, so it gets moved back 5 yards. 71-yard field goal. Let's go for it. Why not? There's 4 seconds left in the half. Aubrey has the leg for it. He has hit 73 yarders in practice, and he just hit one that was good from 72 plus. Why not just shatter the NFL record? You know it's going to go into half. There's basically no better time to go for this type of field goal, given that he can kick that 71-yarder with a traditional trajectory because he was a pro soccer player. They line him up. Before it gets snapped, the Browns call a timeout. After the timeout, Mike McCarthy says, you know what? Never mind. Takes the field goal unit off the floor and instead opts for a Hail Mary. Has Dak step up in the pocket, get hit while throwing a Hail Mary. It comes up 20 yards short of the end zone, almost gets picked. Nothing good came out of this scenario, and you robbed us of a potential record where you beat the 66-yard field goal record by 5 yards.
Well, you'll just have to deal with your week 1 victory. I'm sorry.
Yeah. And quite honestly, Brandon Aubrey, not to jinx him, is like one of the best kickers I've ever seen.
You guys have had some a tenuous situation back there for a while, so that's nice to get that solidified. PRs.
I
don't want to go last because mine's a little bit of a downer, but it's a good one. So mine was, so as many people know, and a couple weeks back, my dog Spike passed away, and I just want to thank everybody who said, who sent well wishes and came up to me and said they're sorry. But it happened. So unfortunately, he passed away when we were on the way to the emergency vet. And so we got there, and obviously he was not alive when I, opened the back to try to get him out. And there was a woman who was in the parking lot 2 spaces away from us, and she was just sitting in her car. Now, obviously, I didn't notice her, but then when my wife was driving a separate car because she had my son, so she showed up, and then we had our whole thing there in the parking lot where we had to kind of say goodbye and stuff. And so my wife went in. I had gotten there first, so my wife went in with the people who worked at the emergency room, took Spike with them, and I was sitting there by myself. My son was in the car, distracted, thank God. And this woman came up to me and she's like, look, she says, I really hope that I'm not out of line here, but I saw you two over here. I just lost my dog. I just wanted to say, I'm really sorry. And if there's and then she just gave me a hug, and I thought that was really cool. So the moral of the story is that, while I was still very much grieving at that point, the fact that a total stranger came up to me and did that was meant a lot. And I just want people to know that never underestimate the good that you can do for a stranger with a simple gesture. And I thought that was a really good reminder of that. So I just wanted to PR that woman because a lot of people, you see that going on, they just oh God, I don't want to go talk to that person. But she came up to us or came up to me and talked to me. So I really, that was a cool thing that's never happened to me before. So that's my PR. And that's why I didn't want to go last, because I don't want to end on a downer.
Yep, for sure. Special shout out to that lady. That's very kind of her. I want to do a shout out to my PR is to Diego, Colette, Mitzi, Sarah, and Heather, and Natalie, all of who competed this past weekend from our gym at the NorCal Classic. Colette and Mitzi both podiumed in their respective Masters age divisions. They did awesome. Natalie was her first high-level competition since semifinals a couple of years ago. She did great too. She hit a lift on the snatch event that she hasn't hit in forever. This is a big time step up in competition for Diego from the gym. And I thought everyone handled it admirably and did a great job. And our gym did a great job supporting each other. So big shout out to all of those members of our West Fitness crew that went out and stepped out of their comfort zones.
Lauren, PR, finish strong.
My PR is overdue. It happened at the CrossFit Games, but I forgot about it because of all the chaos that happened at the games. But I want to PR Volunteer Enrique, who also is an avid listener of TES.
Thank you, Enrique.
As if my emotions weren't already unstable in those moments, he really set them over the edge, but in a very positive way. He found me in the parking lot and runs up to me and is like, Lauren, I have something for you. I was like, Enrique, what could you possibly have for me? He hands me a magnetic turtle and goes, I listened to you months ago on the Talking Elite Fitness podcast, and you told the story about how your mom sold your turtle on Facebook when you went to college. And I saw this turtle when I was on vacation. It was in like Bermuda or Mexico or somewhere tropical. And he was like, now you have a magnetic Mr. Charles, and gave it to me. And it was just so freaking sweet. And if you guys have ever seen Enrique, he is the happiest, most like big personality. He volunteers at Rogue. He volunteers at the CrossFit Games semifinals. Like, such a cool dude. So Enrique, the volunteer, I love him, and I'm giving him an air hug right now.
That is amazing. Thank you, Enrique.
That's awesome. Oh man, that's a good round of PRs.
Yeah, solid.
That was okay. Thanks to our guest Joel Gattet. Thanks to our sponsors, Box Basics, shopboxbasics.com, TEF 20% off. Thanks to our other sponsor, Thirdsy today, Thirdsy.com, same code, TEF, same deal, 20% off. Great sponsors, great products. Please check them out. Next week, we will be in Southern California for Wodapalooza SoCal. If you see us, please come say hi. Always love talking to people. That's like the highlight of the whole experience for us. And enjoy that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to that. Everybody have a fantastic weekend. For Lauren Khalil and Tommy Marquez, I'm Sean Woodland. Take care of each other. Be better. We will talk to you next time. Pumpkin spice is an October flavor.
September 1.
Recognition, the start of a first date. If it's good, it's good. I don't want to wait. When the feeling's right, I'm taking it.